Okay, so here we go with more equations. But now it's equations with variables on both sides. So let's look at the steps for solving this. When you are solving equations that have variables on both sides, step 1, you have to get all of the terms with variables on one side of the equation. Step 2, get all constants on the other side of the equation. And last but not least, step 3, solve for the variable. So on your first example, we have 6x minus 7 equals 2x plus 5. So we have to get all of the terms with variables on one side. Our terms with variables, we have 6x on the left-hand side, we have 2x on the right-hand side. So if I want to move one of those to the other side of the equation, since they are both positives, okay, I'm going to choose to move 2x over to the left. Since that's a positive 2x, I have to subtract 2x. But whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other side. So I have decided that my variables will be on the left, okay? So the left has variables. So 6x minus 2x is going to give us 4x, and then we still have our minus 7 equals, now 2x minus 2x gives us 0, so we're left with 5. Since we chose the left side for the variables, that means the right side is for our constants. So now let's look for our constants. Here we have a negative 7 and we have 5. We said we want all of the constants on the right-hand side of the equation. So I've got to move this negative 7 over to the other side. Since this is a negative 7, I am going to add 7 to both sides, because I want to get rid of it on the left-hand side and put it over on the right-hand side. So now on the left-hand side, I am left with 4x equals, now 5 plus 7 gives us 12. Now all we have to do is solve for our variable. So since 4 is being multiplied by x, we're going to divide by 4 on both sides. So now x becomes 3, because 12 divided by 4 is 3. When we simplify those, we get our 1, so x equals 3. Now let's look at example 2. We look here, we have a negative 7d minus 22 equals 4d. Well, we can see that we have variables on both sides, but if we want to get the variables on one side and the constants on the other, since the right-hand side doesn't have any constants, I'm going to move my negative 7d over to the other side. So since it's a negative 7d, I'm going to add 7d to both sides. When I add 7d to both sides, I have a negative 22 equals 4d plus 7d would give us 11d. So now I have my variables on one side and my constants on the other already. So now all I have to do is solve for the variable. Since 11 is being multiplied by d, we're going to divide by 11 on both sides. 11 divided by 11 is 1, so we're left with our d. Negative 22 divided by a positive 11 is a negative 2. So d equals negative 2. And now for our final example, we have a negative 6z plus 28 equals 9z minus 2. So first we've got to move our variables to one side of the equation. Since we have variables on both sides and we have constants on both sides, we need to decide which side's going to be our variables, which side's going to be our constants. So I'm going to choose the left side for variables, the right side for constants. So that means I've got to move all of my variables to the left-hand side. I have 9z that needs to be moved to the left-hand side. Since it's a positive 9, I'm going to subtract 9z from both sides. So now a negative 6 plus a negative 9 is going to give me a negative 15z. We still have our plus 28 equals, that becomes 0, so now we have a negative 2. Now remember, our right side is for our constants, so now we got to get our constants over to the right. So here we have 28 that needs to be moved. Since it's a positive 28, we're going to subtract 28 from both sides. So now we have a negative 15z, that becomes 0, equals a negative 2 plus a negative 28 gives us a negative 30. Now we divide by negative 15 on both sides. So now z equals a negative 30 divided by a negative 15 is a positive 2. So z equals 2. Tomorrow in class, we're going to practice this some more. So we will see you in class. We're going to practice this some more on Monday. Remember, this is so that you don't have homework over the weekend. So we'll practice this some more on Monday in class. Have a great weekend.